Aliens sent a distress call. They didn't expect Earth's deadliest response. The crystalline vessel Seraphim's Grace drifted helplessly through the asteroid field, its once pristine hull now scarred with impact craters and radiation burns. Commander Zareth pressed her delicate, translucent fingers against the command console, her bioluminescent markings flickering weakly, a sign of extreme distress among the ethereal. "Commander," whispered First Navigator Kixon, his voice barely audible through the failing life support systems. "Hull integrity at 23% and falling. We have perhaps 2 rotations before complete structural failure." Zareth gazed through the observation port at the chaotic dance of asteroids surrounding their ship. The Maelstrom sector had earned its name. No vessel had ever survived passage through its gravitational anomalies and radioactive storms. They had attempted the crossing as a desperate shortcut to deliver critical medical supplies to the plague-stricken colonies of Andromeda 7. Now they would die here, another casualty of the galaxy's most feared region. "Any response to our distress signals?" she asked, though hope had long since abandoned her voice. "Nothing, Commander," replied Communications Officer Veltar from her station. "We broadcast on all Coalition frequencies, but we are beyond the reach of any civilized system. The nearest patrol vessel would require 47 cycles to reach us." The ethereal were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced medical knowledge and peaceful nature. Their bodies, evolved on a world of gentle breezes and soft light, were beautiful but fragile, built for contemplation and healing, not for surviving the violent chaos of the Maelstrom. A violent shudder ran through the ship as another asteroid fragment punched through their weakened shields. Emergency lights bathed the bridge in crimson as more systems failed. "Veltar," Zareth said quietly, "expand our transmission range. Send the distress call beyond Coalition space." The communications officer's bioluminescent patterns flashed surprise. "Commander, beyond Coalition space lies only forbidden zones, the regions marked as uninhabitable by galactic law." "I am aware of the regulations," Zareth replied, "but regulations will not save us now. Broadcast on all frequencies, maximum power. Perhaps someone, somewhere, might hear us." Veltar's fingers danced across her controls, pushing their damaged systems to their limits. The distress signal pierced through space, carrying their coordinates, their species identification, and a simple message: "We are dying. Please help." The signal traveled outward, past the boundaries of known space, into regions where few civilized beings dared to venture. It bypassed systems marked with warnings in every galactic language, passed by worlds classified as too dangerous for habitation, and continued toward a small blue-green planet on the very edge of the galaxy. A world that every galactic database labeled with a single, terrifying designation: Quarantine Class, Death World Approach Forbidden. Sergeant Maria Santos was 3 hours into her shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Array when the alarm started screaming. The facility, built into the dark side of Luna, served as humanity's eyes and ears for threats from beyond the solar system. For 15 years, they had watched the cosmos, searching for any sign that Earth was not alone. "Santos, what the hell is that noise?" barked Colonel Harrison as he stormed into the monitoring center, his coffee sloshing in his mug. "Sir, we're picking up an artificial signal from outside the system," Maria replied, her fingers flying over her workstation. "Pattern analysis suggests it's some kind of distress call." Harrison nearly dropped his coffee. "Are you telling me we finally have proof of alien life, and their first message is a cry for help?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you, sir." Maria's screen filled with data streams and frequency analyses. "The signal is highly sophisticated, contains mathematical progressions that prove intelligence, and based on the embedded coordinates, they're in serious trouble." Within minutes, the secure line to Space Command was buzzing. Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared on the main screen, her expression grave as Maria briefed her on the discovery. "How certain are you that this is genuine, Sergeant?" the Admiral asked. 99.7% certain, ma'am. The signal structure is too complex to be natural phenomena, and the distress pattern is consistent across all frequencies." Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. The weight of first contact, in the potential need for humanity's first interstellar rescue mission hung heavy in the air. Colonel Harrison, I'm authorizing immediate deployment of the Titan's Wrath. Captain Rodriguez will lead the mission. The Titan's Wrath was humanity's most advanced warship, built in the orbital shipyards around Mars. Her hull was forged from titanium carbon composites that could withstand the crushing depths of gas giants, and her fusion drives could push her to near light speed. She was designed for one purpose: to take humans into the deadliest environment space could offer and bring them home alive. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood in the ship's briefing room, addressing her senior staff as Earth fell away behind them. Rodriguez had earned her reputation in the Belt Wars, leading impossible rescue missions in the asteroid fields where other captains feared to venture. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems, we're about to make history. This is humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, and they need our help. Chief Medical Officer Dr. James Wright raised his hand. Captain, we have no idea what their biology might be like. How do we treat injuries in a species we've never encountered? We adapt, Doctor. It's what humans do. Rodriguez turned to the tactical display, showing their destination. The signal is coming from the Maelstrom sector. Long-range sensors show massive gravitational anomalies, radiation storms, and asteroid fields that would challenge even our best pilots. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, the ship's navigator, shook her head as she studied the data. Captain, I've run the numbers 3 times. The gravitational shears in that region could tear us apart. No sane captain would take a ship in there. Good thing I've never been accused of being sane, Rodriguez replied with a grim smile. Chief Engineering Officer Murphy, can the Titan's Wrath handle those conditions? Murphy grinned, his hands already stained with grease from pre-mission inspections. Captain, this ship was built to go where angels fear to tread. She'll hold together. Master Chief Torres, leader of the ship's Marine contingent, spoke up from his position near the back of the room. Ma'am, if we're doing a rescue in hostile space, my boys are ready. We've trained for operations in extreme environments. Rodriguez looked around the room at the faces of her crew, pilots who had flown through solar storms, engineers who had kept ships running with duct tape and determination, Marines who had fought in the vacuum of space itself. These were humanity's finest, and they had never met a challenge they couldn't overcome. All right, people, we don't know what we're going to find out there, but someone is in trouble and they asked for help. That's all we need to know. The Titan's Wrath accelerated toward the Maelstrom sector, her fusion drives burning bright against the darkness. Behind her, Earth's children ventured into the unknown, carrying with them humanity's greatest strength, the absolute refusal to abandon anyone in need. The transition to subspace was rougher than usual as the Titan's Wrath approached the Maelstrom sector. Reality twisted and bent around the ship as they dropped back into normal space at the edge of the gravitational anomaly field. Jesus Christ, whispered Navigator Kim, as the main display filled with the chaotic dance of destruction before them. Asteroids the size of mountains tumbled through space, caught in gravitational eddies that defied conventional physics. Radiation storms painted the darkness with deadly auroras, and in the center of it all, spatial distortions that could crush a ship like an empty can. Sensor contact, reported Lieutenant Davis from the science station. I'm reading a vessel approximately 12 kilometers into the field. Energy signatures are failing, but I'm detecting life signs. Captain Rodriguez studied the tactical display, calculating vectors and probabilities in her head. The alien ship was trapped in a zone where the gravitational forces were constantly shifting, making any rescue approach incredibly dangerous. Communications, can you reach them? Trying now, Captain, replied Communications Officer Bradley. After a few moments of adjustment, a weak signal came through the ship's speakers. The translation software worked frantically to convert the alien language into something humans could understand. Unknown vessel, came a melodic but weak voice. This is Commander Zareth of the ethereal research ship, Seraphim's Grace. We received your response to our distress call, but you must not attempt to reach us. The gravitational anomalies in this region will destroy any vessel that enters. Rodriguez picked up the communication handset. Commander Zareth, this is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earthship Titan's Wrath. We're here to get you out. What's your situation? There was a long pause before Zareth's voice returned, filled with disbelief. Captain Rodriguez, did you say Earth? Our databases indicate that system is under galactic quarantine. No civilized species is allowed to make contact with your world. Well, nobody told us about that, Rodriguez replied dryly. Right now, we're more concerned with keeping you alive. How many crew members are you carrying? 37, Zareth answered. But Captain, you do not understand. Our ship analysis indicates that your vessel, while remarkably robust, cannot possibly survive the stresses within this anomaly field. The gravitational forces exceed anything in our experience. Rodriguez looked around her bridge at the determined faces of her crew. These were people who had chosen to serve aboard humanity's most dangerous missions, who had sworn an oath to never leave anyone behind. Commander, let us worry about what we can and can't survive. Chief Murphy, can we reach them? Murphy was already running calculations on his engineering console. It's going to be rough, Captain. We'll need to reroute all available power to structural integrity and inertial dampeners. But this old girl was built tough. Master Chief Torres, prep your team for EVA rescue operations in extreme conditions. Torres nodded grimly. Aye, Captain. My Marines are ready for anything. Rodriguez opened the channel to the alien ship again. Commander Zareth, we're coming to get you. Prepare your crew for evacuation. Captain Rodriguez. Zareth's voice was filled with emotion. Why are you doing this? You do not know us, and the risk to your own people is enormous. Rodriguez paused for a moment, thinking about the question that had probably puzzled aliens across the galaxy. Because you asked for help, Commander. That's what humans do. The Titan's Wrath began its descent into the gravitational maelstrom. The ship groaned and shuddered as invisible forces tried to tear her apart, but she held together through a combination of advanced engineering and sheer human stubbornness. Hull stress at 78% of maximum, Murphy reported. All systems holding steady. Space around them became a nightmare of twisted physics and deadly radiation. Asteroids spinning at impossible velocities missed them by meters, guided away by the skillful hands of Navigator Kim and the ship's automated defense systems. Gravitational force at 15 times Earth normal, Dr. Wright called out from his station. Crew, brace for crushing acceleration. The humans aboard the Titan's Wrath felt their bodies pressed deep into their acceleration couches, as forces that would have instantly killed most galactic species merely made them uncomfortable. Humanity's evolution on a heavy world with violent weather had prepared them for stresses that would destroy more delicate life forms. Visual contact with the alien vessel, Navigator Kim reported. Through the forward screens, they could see the Seraphim's Grace, a beautiful crystalline ship that looked more like a work of art than a spacecraft. But her elegance was her weakness. She was clearly never designed for the brutal conditions of the maelstrom. She's beautiful, whispered Dr. Wright as he studied the alien vessel's design. And dying, Torres added grimly. Look at those hull fractures. She won't last much longer. Rodriguez opened communications again. Commander Zareth, we're alongside your vessel. Our scans show multiple hull breaches. Can your crew move? Barely, came the weak reply. The gravitational forces are crushing us. My people were not designed for such brutality. That's why we're here, Rodriguez replied. Master Chief, you're up. Torres and his Marine rescue team sealed their helmets and entered the ship's airlock. Outside, space was a kaleidoscope of destruction, but they had trained for operations in conditions that would terrify most beings in the galaxy. The Marines launched themselves across the gap between ships, using magnetic grapples and pure determination to reach the alien vessel. When Torres finally made it aboard the Seraphim's Grace, he got his first look at the beings they were trying to save. The ethereal were unlike anything humans had imagined. Tall, graceful, and seemingly made of living crystal and light, they were beautiful beyond description, but they were also clearly dying, their delicate forms crushed by gravitational forces that were merely uncomfortable for humans. We're here to help, Torres said through his translator as he knelt beside Commander Zareth. We're getting you out of here. Zareth looked up at the human marine through her failing vision. Even through his helmet, she could see the determination in his eyes, the absolute refusal to accept defeat that had carried humanity through countless challenges. Your species, she whispered. What kind of world created beings who would do this? Torres smiled grimly as he carefully lifted the alien commander. The kind of world that teaches you to never leave anyone behind. One by one, the Marines carried the ethereal crew back to the Titan's wrath. It was brutal work in the crushing gravity and chaotic conditions. But they didn't stop. Each trip was a battle against physics itself. But humans had never learned to accept the word impossible. All personnel aboard, Torres reported as the last ethereal was brought to safety. Let's get the hell out of here. The Titan's wrath fought her way back out of the gravitational anomaly field, carrying her precious cargo of rescued aliens towards safety. Behind them, the Seraphim's grace finally succumbed to the forces that had been slowly crushing her, breaking apart in a shower of crystalline fragments. 37 lives had been saved by humans who refused to accept that any rescue was impossible. The medical bay of the Titan's wrath had been transformed into an alien hospital. Dr. Wright worked carefully over the ethereal survivors, using every piece of medical knowledge he possessed to help beings whose biology was completely foreign to him. The aliens were so different from humans that he had to learn their physiology as he treated them. Where humans were built for strength and endurance, the ethereal seemed designed for beauty and intellect. Their bodies were efficient but fragile, evolved for a peaceful world that had never known the violence that shaped humanity. Commander Zareth lay on one of the medical beds, her bioluminescent patterns slowly returning to normal as Dr. Wright's treatments took effect. She watched the human doctor work with gentle precision, noting the careful strength in his movements. Your healing techniques are remarkable, she said weakly. You managed to treat injuries in a species you had never encountered before. Medical school teaches you to adapt, Dr. Wright replied as he monitored her vital signs. Besides, pain is pain, no matter what species experiences it. Captain Rodriguez entered the medical bay to check on their guests. The conscious ethereal watched her with a mixture of gratitude and awe, still unable to fully comprehend what had just happened. How are they doing, Doctor? Rodriguez asked. Better than I had any right to hope for, Wright replied. Their physiology is incredibly delicate, but they're responding well to treatment. They should make a full recovery. Rodriguez turned to Commander Zareth. We need to get you to proper medical facilities. Do you have any stations nearby? Zareth tried to sit up, but the effort was still too much. Captain Rodriguez, there is a coalition medical station 2 days from here at normal speed. But first, I must ask you something that has been troubling me since your rescue. Go ahead. Your planet, Earth, is classified in our databases as a Class X death world. Such worlds are considered uninhabitable by any intelligent species. How is it possible that you not only survived on such a planet, but evolved to become this? Rodriguez smiled slightly. What exactly is a death world classification? Dr. Wright looked up from his work, interested in the answer. Commander Zareth's bioluminescent patterns flickered as she accessed her memories. Death worlds are planets with extreme environmental conditions that make them unsuitable for the evolution of intelligence, she explained. High gravity, violent weather patterns, aggressive predators, geological instability, and radiation exposure that would kill most life forms. That does sound like Earth, Rodriguez admitted. We've got earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, and predators that hunt in packs. But we learn to deal with it. Zareth stared at the human captain in amazement. Your species evolved on a world that the galaxy considers a death trap, and that is why you could do what you did today. The gravitational forces that were killing us were merely uncomfortable to you. Master Chief Torres entered the medical bay with his after-action report. Captain, my team performed well during the rescue, but I've been thinking about what the aliens said. Are we really that different from the rest of the galaxy? Dr. Wright nodded as he continued his work. According to their databases, most galactic species evolved on safe, stable worlds. They've never had to deal with the kind of constant danger that shaped human evolution. That explains why they think we're insane, Torres said with a grin. Most beings would consider it crazy to fly into a gravitational anomaly field to rescue strangers. Commander Zarath listened to the conversation with growing wonder. You speak of these dangers as if they were ordinary challenges. Most species in the galaxy have never experienced anything like what you consider normal life. Earth has its problems, Rodriguez acknowledged, but it also taught us that there's no situation so bad that you can't find a way through it if you're willing to try hard enough. Communications Officer Bradley entered the medical bay with an urgent message. Captain, we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Word of the rescue is spreading fast. Rodriguez frowned. What kind of transmissions? Mixed bag, ma'am. Some are congratulations. Others are requests for information about humanity. But a lot of them are... Bradley paused, searching for the right words. Are what? Rodriguez prompted. Fear, Captain. A lot of species are terrified that a previously unknown civilization from a death world has suddenly appeared and demonstrated military capabilities beyond anything they've seen. Commander Zara spoke up from her medical bed. Captain Rodriguez, you must understand that your rescue today has changed everything. For millennia, the galaxy has lived in peace because all intelligent species evolved under similar conditions. We are all relatively fragile, all conflict-averse, all limited by the same physical constraints. And now? Rodriguez asked. Now the galaxy knows that somewhere in the darkness, there is a species that considers impossible rescues to be routine operations. A species that evolved on a world so dangerous that it would kill most of us just to visit it. Dr. Wright looked up from his patient readings. Are you saying they're afraid of us? Terrified would be more accurate, Zarath replied, but also amazed. In one day, humanity has demonstrated capabilities that most species thought were purely theoretical. More messages continued to arrive from across galactic civilization. Some were requests for aid from species facing their own impossible problems. Others were diplomatic inquiries about human intentions, and still others were warnings from governments telling Earth to stay away from their territory. Looks like first contact is going to be complicated, Torres observed. Rodriguez looked out through the medical bay's viewport at the vast expanse of space beyond. Somewhere out there, an entire galaxy was trying to figure out what to make of humanity, the species from the death world that refused to let anyone die if they could help it. Commander Zarath, she said finally, what advice would you give us about dealing with galactic civilization? The ethereal commander's bioluminescent patterns pulsed thoughtfully. Be patient with us, Captain. Most species have not seen true violence or danger for thousands of years. The idea that an entire civilization comes from a world of constant peril is beyond our understanding. But, Rodriguez prompted. But the galaxy needs you, Zarath finished. There are situations, emergencies, and disasters that occur throughout known space that no current species can handle. Rescues that we declare impossible because our own limitations make them so. You have shown that those limitations are not universal. Then I guess we'd better get ready for a lot more rescue calls, Rodriguez said. As the Titan's Wrath set course for the Coalition medical station, carrying the first aliens ever rescued by humanity, Captain Rodriguez reflected on what they had started. Their first contact with galactic civilization hadn't been through diplomacy or trade, but through the most human action possible, risking everything to save strangers in need. The galaxy was about to meet the Deathworlders, and nothing would ever be the same. Coalition Medical Station. Kepler was a marvel of engineering, a massive structure designed to provide medical care for dozens of different species. As the Titan's Wrath approached the station, Captain Rodriguez could see hundreds of ships from across the galaxy gathered around it. Word of humanity's first contact had spread fast. Captain, reported Communications Officer Bradley, we're receiving over 200 hail requests from different vessels and stations. Everyone wants to talk to us. Any official communications from the coalition government? Rodriguez asked. Yes, ma'am. High Council President Vexara wants to meet with you as soon as we dock. She's apparently been in emergency session since news of the rescue reached civilized space. Rodriguez studied the massive space station ahead of them. After spending her entire career dealing with human bureaucracy, she wasn't looking forward to navigating alien politics. Dr. Wright, how are our passengers doing? They're stable enough for transfer to the station's medical facilities, Wright replied. But Captain, they've been asking to speak with you before we dock. Rodriguez made her way to the medical bay, where Commander Zareth and several other conscious ethereal waited. Their bioluminescent patterns were much brighter now, indicating improved health, but she could see concern in their large, expressive eyes. Captain, Zareth began, we wanted to thank you once more before we part ways. What your species did today will never be forgotten by the ethereal. Just doing our job, Rodriguez replied. How are you feeling? Much better, thanks to your doctor's care. But Captain, I must warn you about what awaits you on that station. The galaxy is in chaos because of your actions. Chaos? Rodriguez frowned. We saved lives. How is that chaotic? Another ethereal, science officer Kixon spoke up. Captain, for over 10,000 years, galactic civilization has been built on a simple principle, that all intelligent species have similar capabilities and limitations. We solve problems through cooperation and patience because none of us are capable of the kind of direct action that your species just demonstrated. I still don't see the problem, Rodriguez said. Zareth's patterns flickered with what humans were learning to recognize as concern. Captain, in the 6 hours since news of your rescue spread, we have received reports of 17 different species requesting human assistance with impossible problems. Mining colonies trapped in asteroid collapses, research stations lost in stellar phenomena, diplomatic missions stranded in hostile territory. That doesn't sound too bad, Master Chief Torres commented from his position near the door. Sounds like job security. The problem, Kixon continued, is that each of these situations has been declared unsolvable by conventional means. The galaxy has suddenly realized that there is a species capable of doing what everyone else considers impossible. Rodriguez was beginning to understand the implications. And that scares them. It terrifies them, Zareth confirmed, but it also offers hope. For the first time in millennia, problems that were considered permanently unsolvable might actually have solutions. The Titan's Wrath docked at Coalition Station Kepler with all the ceremony that first contact deserved. As Rodriguez and her senior staff prepared to disembark, they could see crowds of aliens pressing against the observation windows, trying to get a glimpse of the legendary Deathworlders. The docking bay was filled with Coalition officials, journalists, scientists, and representatives from dozens of different species. Rodriguez had attended plenty of formal military ceremonies, but nothing had prepared her for the sheer variety of alien life forms gathered to meet them. A tall, graceful being with silver skin and 4 arms stepped forward. Captain Rodriguez, I am High Council President Vexara. On behalf of the Coalition of Civilized Worlds, I welcome you to Galactic Society. Thank you, President Vexara, Rodriguez replied, hoping she was pronouncing the name correctly. We're honored to make contact with galactic civilization. Your rescue of the ethereal vessel has created quite a stir throughout known space, Vexara continued. Many of our member species are eager to understand how your people accomplished such a feat. Rodriguez could feel the weight of thousands of alien eyes studying her and her crew. We saw people in trouble and helped them. That's what humans do. A murmur ran through the crowd at her words. Rodriguez was beginning to realize that concepts that seemed obvious to humans were apparently revolutionary to the rest of the galaxy. Dr. Shentar, an insectoid scientist with multiple eyes, approached with a datapad. Captain Rodriguez, our analysis of your ship's performance during the rescue is unprecedented. The gravitational stresses you endured should have been instantly fatal to any known species. We're a tough species, Rodriguez replied simply. Indeed, Shintar's mandibles clicked in what might have been excitement. Your vessel's logs indicate that your crew not only survived 15 times normal gravity, but remained fully functional throughout the ordeal. Most galactic species would have been crushed to death at 3 times normal gravity. President Vexara gestured toward a conference room. Captain, we have much to discuss. Your arrival raises many questions about humanity's place in galactic society. Over the next several hours, Rodriguez and her crew found themselves in the strangest diplomatic meeting in human history. Representatives from dozens of species questioned them about Earth, human capabilities, and their intentions in galactic space. Captain Rodriguez, said Ambassador Telvak of the Crystalline Hegemony, our databases indicate that your homeworld is classified as uninhabitable by galactic standards. How did your species not only survive but develop advanced technology? Earth is challenging, Rodriguez admitted, but it's our home. We learn to adapt to whatever it threw at us. But the radiation levels, the gravitational stress, the violent weather patterns, pressed another alien diplomat. These conditions should have prevented the evolution of intelligence. Master Chief Torres spoke up from his seat. Maybe that's exactly why we got smart. When your environment is trying to kill you every day, you learn to think fast and adapt faster. President Vexara consulted her notes. Captain, in the hours since your rescue became known, we have received formal requests from 23 different species asking for human assistance with various crises. These include rescue operations that our own specialists have declared impossible. What kind of operations? Rodriguez asked. A research team trapped on a moon with extreme tidal forces. Colonists stranded on a world undergoing volcanic upheaval. Diplomats lost in a region of space with dangerous energy phenomena. Vexara paused. These are situations that have been considered unsolvable because they exceed the physical limitations of all known species. Rodriguez looked around the room at the expectant faces of the alien delegates. She was beginning to understand the magnitude of what humanity had stumbled into. President Vexara, she said carefully, humanity would be honored to help where we can, but we're just one species. We can't solve every problem in the galaxy. Perhaps not, replied Dr. Shintar, but you can solve problems that no one else can even attempt. Your species represents a completely new category of capability in galactic civilization. What kind of category? Dr. Wright asked. Emergency response specialists, Vexara replied. Species capable of operating in conditions that would be instantly fatal to conventional life forms. We have never had such capabilities available before. Ambassador Telvak leaned forward. Captain, there are regions of space that have been considered permanently off-limits because of their hostile conditions. Stellar graveyards, radiation zones, areas of extreme gravitational distortion. If your species can operate in such environments, we could explore places that have been mysteries for millennia. Rodriguez finished. I'm beginning to see why our arrival has caused such a stir. President Vexara nodded. Captain Rodriguez, humanity has the potential to become the galaxy's premier emergency response force. No other species has demonstrated the ability to survive in extreme conditions while maintaining full operational capability. But, she continued, this also raises concerns. A species with your capabilities could be seen as a threat to the balance of power that has maintained galactic peace for thousands of years. Torres frowned. We're not here to threaten anyone. We're explorers and rescuers, not conquerors. We believe you, Vexara replied, but not all species are convinced. Some fear that a race of Deathworlders could destabilize the careful diplomatic balance that has prevented galactic war. Rodriguez realized they were at a crossroads. Humanity's introduction to galactic civilization was going to shape their future among the stars for generations to come. President Vexara, she said finally, what would you suggest? A trial period, the coalition president replied. Humanity becomes an associate member of the coalition, specializing in emergency response and rescue operations. You prove your peaceful intentions through actions while providing services that no other species can offer. Rodriguez looked at her senior staff, seeing the same determination in their eyes that had carried them through the impossible rescue. They had come this far by never backing down from a challenge. We accept, she said, but we do this our way. When someone needs help, we don't ask about politics or species or what's in it for us. We just help. A ripple of surprise ran through the alien delegates. Apparently, unconditional aid was another concept that was foreign to galactic civilization. Very well, President Vexara said after consulting with her advisors. Humanity is hereby granted associate status in the Coalition of Civilized Worlds, with specialization in extreme environment operations and emergency response. As the formal ceremony concluded, Rodriguez found herself thinking about what they had started. Humanity had introduced itself to the galaxy not through conquest or trade, but through the simple act of helping strangers in need. Now they were being asked to make that help their official role in galactic society. "Captain," Master Chief Torres said quietly as they prepared to leave the station, "I think we're going to be very busy from now on." Rodriguez looked out at the vast expanse of space beyond the station, knowing that somewhere out there people were facing impossible situations and hoping for help. "Good," she said. "That's what we're here for." 6 months later, the rescue ship Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vorthan system, where a diplomatic convoy had been trapped for 3 weeks in a region of space known as the Shatter Zone. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge of humanity's newest vessel, specifically designed for operations in conditions that would destroy conventional ships. "Contact the convoy," she ordered. "Let them know the cavalry has arrived." Her crew had grown to include alien specialists who could work alongside humans in extreme environments, species that had proven compatible with humanity's approach to impossible problems. The galaxy was learning that while humans might be unique in their capabilities, they were not unique in their willingness to help others. "Captain," reported Communications Officer Chen, "we're receiving grateful acknowledgments from the convoy. They're asking how we plan to extract them from gravitational eddies that have already destroyed 2 rescue attempts." Rodriguez smiled as she studied the tactical display, showing the chaotic space-time distortions ahead. "Tell them we're about to show them why they call us the Death Worlders." The Indomitable plunged into the Shatter Zone, her reinforced hull designed to handle stresses that would tear apart conventional vessels. Behind her, 3 more human rescue ships followed, part of the fleet that Earth had built in response to the galaxy's endless need for impossible rescues. In the months since first contact, humanity had become legendary throughout known space. The species that considered no rescue too dangerous, no situation too hopeless, no odds too long. They had saved miners trapped in collapsing asteroids, evacuated colonies from dying worlds, and recovered artifacts from regions of space that had been considered permanently inaccessible. Each mission had added to their reputation, and each success had brought new requests for help from species across the galaxy. Humanity had found their place among the stars not as conquerors or traitors, but as the ones who answered the call when all hope seemed lost. "Convoy in sight," reported Navigator Park, initiating extraction protocol. Rodriguez watched her mixed human-alien crew work together with practiced efficiency. The galaxy had learned that while humans might be from a death world, they were also teachers, willing to share their knowledge and techniques with anyone brave enough to learn. "All ships report ready," came the report from Master Chief Williams, Torres's successor as head of Marine Operations. "Then let's go save some lives," Rodriguez ordered. "It's what we do." The Indomitable and her sister ships dove into the maelstrom of twisted space-time, carrying with them humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, the absolute certainty that no one would be left behind, no matter how impossible the rescue might seem. Behind them, Earth's children had found their destiny among the stars, not as conquerors or rulers, but as the ones who came when called, no matter what the cost. The galaxy had sent a distress call, not knowing they were summoning Earth's deadliest response, humans who refused to give up. 2 years later, Commander Zareth stood in the observation lounge of the Coalition headquarters, watching as the latest fleet of human rescue vessels departed for another impossible mission. Her bioluminescent patterns glowed with contentment as she reflected on how much the galaxy had changed since that desperate day in the Maelstrom sector. "Still watching our human friends?" asked Dr. Shentar as he joined her at the viewport, his compound eyes tracking the departing ships. "Always," Zareth replied. "They saved my life, my crew, and in doing so, they saved us all." It was true. In the 2 years since humanity's introduction to galactic civilization, they had revolutionized what was considered possible. Mining operations now ventured into asteroid fields that had been deemed too dangerous. Research stations operated in stellar phenomena that had been off-limits for millennia, Entire colonies had been established on worlds that were previously classified as uninhabitable. But more than that, humanity had changed the galaxy's very approach to problems. Where one species would declare situations impossible and move on, now they asked a different question. How would humans handle this? The Andorian rescue was completed successfully, Shentar reported, consulting his datapad. Captain Martinez extracted all 47 miners from the collapsing neutron star facility. 0 casualties. Zarath's patterns flickered with amazement. A neutron star facility. 2 years ago, we would have written off anyone trapped in such a place as already dead. And now it's considered a routine operation for the Human Emergency Response Corps, Shentar noted. They're already requesting volunteers from other species to train for similar missions. Through the viewport, they could see construction crews, a mix of humans and aliens, working on the latest addition to the Coalition fleet. The Unstoppable was being built to human specifications, but with input from dozens of species, representing the new cooperative approach that humanity had inspired. Dr. Shentar, Zarath said thoughtfully, what do you think would have happened to our civilization if humans had never answered that distress call? The insectoid scientists considered the question carefully. We would have continued as we always had, safe, stable, and limited by our own fears of what was impossible. And now we reach for the stars themselves, knowing that if we fall, there will always be someone willing to catch us. President Vexara's voice echoed through the station's communication system. All personnel, prepare for the arrival of the exploration vessel Pioneer. They return from humanity's first mission beyond the galactic rim. Zarath and Shentar exchanged glances. The mission beyond the galactic rim had been considered the ultimate test, sending humans into the void between galaxies to investigate signals that might indicate other civilizations. It was a journey that would have been impossible for any other known species. As the Pioneer emerged from hyperspace, her hull scarred but intact, the communication channels filled with excited chatter. Captain Sarah Chen's voice came through clearly. Coalition Control, this is the Pioneer. Mission accomplished. We have much to report. Over the next few hours, the debriefing revealed that humanity had done more than just survive the intergalactic void. They had thrived in it. They had discovered 3 new civilizations, all of whom had been trapped in seemingly impossible situations by the harsh conditions between galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, President Vexara announced to the assembled Coalition Council, Captain Chen and her crew have not only expanded our knowledge of the universe, they have brought back representatives from 3 previously unknown species. Each of these civilizations had given up hope of ever making contact with others, believing themselves forever isolated by the dangers of intergalactic space. Commander Zarath smiled as she watched the human captain present her findings. 2 years ago, Chen had been a junior officer on a mining station. Now she was leading humanity's greatest exploration missions, carrying with her the same refusal to accept limitations that defined her species. The Nexari civilization has been trapped in a failing star system for over 1,000 years, Chen reported. They possess incredible technological knowledge, but lack the physical capabilities to escape their dying sun. We've already begun planning an evacuation mission. The Vorthak are master engineers, whose homeworld is locked in a perpetual ice age caused by cosmic debris blocking their sun. They have the knowledge to fix the problem, but not the means to clear the debris field. And the Kalani are explorers like us, but their ships cannot survive the radiation storms that separate galaxy clusters. They've been trying to reach other civilizations for millennia. President Vexara nodded approvingly. 3 more species who need exactly the kind of help that only humans can provide. Master Chief Williams stood up from his position with the human delegation. Ma'am, my teams are already drawing up mission parameters. We can have rescue fleets ready within the month. And that, whispered Dr. Shentar to Zarath, is why they're called the Death Worlders. They don't just survive impossible conditions. They seek them out to help others. As the meeting concluded, Zarath found herself walking alongside Captain Rodriguez, who had become something of a legend throughout the galaxy. The woman who had led humanity's first rescue mission was now Admiral Rodriguez, head of the Human Emergency Response Corps. Admiral, Zareth said, do you ever regret answering that first distress call? Your species has taken on the burden of the galaxy's most dangerous problems. Rodriguez paused at an observation window, looking out at the vast fleet of rescue ships, exploration vessels, and mobile hospitals that now bore the insignia of the Human Emergency Response Corps. Humans and aliens working together to tackle the impossible. Commander, she said with a slight smile, every species in this galaxy has taught us something. The ethereal taught us patience and healing. The crystalline hegemony taught us precision engineering. The Vorthak taught us adaptive technology. We've all grown stronger together. But the burden isn't a burden, Rodriguez interrupted gently. It's a privilege. We get to be the ones who show up when all hope is lost and prove that hope was never really gone. We get to turn impossible into difficult, and difficult into done. Zareth's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with understanding. You've changed more than just rescue operations, Admiral. You've changed how the entire galaxy thinks about challenges. Good, Rodriguez replied, because the universe is a big place, and there are a lot of people out there who need help. The day we stop trying to reach them is the day we stop being human. As if summoned by her words, the communication system crackled to life with a new message. Coalition Control, this is the exploration vessel Horizon. We've detected what appears to be a massive derelict ship drifting toward the Galactic core. The vessel is enormous, possibly a generation ship from an unknown civilization. We're detecting faint life signs, but the ship is caught in the gravitational pull of Sagittarius A. Estimated time until point of no return, 72 hours. The black hole at the center of the galaxy, a gravitational monster so powerful that nothing could escape once it crossed the event horizon. Any rescue attempt would have to navigate the twisted space-time and deadly radiation surrounding the galaxy's most dangerous region. President Vexara's voice came over the intercom. All senior staff to the Emergency Operations Center. We have a Code Black rescue scenario. Admiral Rodriguez was already moving toward the Operations Center before the announcement finished. Behind her, Zareth and dozens of other coalition officers followed, knowing they were about to witness another impossible rescue become routine. Admiral, President Vexara said as Rodriguez entered the Ops Center, the derelict vessel appears to contain over 10,000 life forms in some kind of suspended animation. Our long-range sensors indicate their life support systems are failing. Rodriguez studied the tactical display, showing the massive ship's trajectory toward the black hole. How much time do we have? 72 hours before they cross the point where even human technology cannot extract them, replied Dr. Shentar. Then we'd better get moving, Rodriguez said simply. Who's available for immediate deployment? The indomitable, unstoppable, and relentless are all in range, reported Fleet Coordinator Kim. Full human crews with alien specialists. Rodriguez nodded. Signal all 3 ships, emergency deployment to Sagittarius A, and send a message to the derelict. If anyone's still conscious over there, let them know help is on the way. As the Emergency Operations Center burst into activity, coordinating humanity's most ambitious rescue mission yet, Commander Zareth realized she was witnessing the birth of another legend. The day humans pulled a generation ship full of sleeping aliens back from the edge of a black hole would become another story told throughout the galaxy. Another impossible rescue that would become just another day's work for the species that refused to let anyone die alone in the darkness. 72 hours to save 10,000 lives from the galaxy's most dangerous region, Zareth murmured to herself. Admiral Rodriguez overheard her and smiled. Plenty of time. After all, we're humans. Impossible is just another word for Tuesday. As the rescue fleet launched toward the Galactic core, racing against time and physics itself, the galaxy watched with the confidence that had grown over 2 years of impossible rescues. The Death Worlders were on the case. And that meant everyone was going home alive. The end. In the years that followed, humanity's reputation spread to every corner of known space and beyond. They became the species you called when all hope was lost, the ones who turned disasters into inconveniences and impossibilities into challenges. The galaxy had asked for help, And Earth had answered with its most powerful weapon: humans who simply refused to give up. And in the endless expanse of space, whenever a distress call echoed through the darkness, three words brought comfort to species across the cosmos: humans are coming.